Hello my fellow YouTubers and subscribers, and welcome to my latest movie review, where today I review the latest offering from the DC Cinematic Universe, Blue Beetle. The film is directed by Manuel Soto, written by Gareth Dunnett Alcázar, I hope I've said that right, starring Xolo, Maridueña, Bruna, Marquezine, and Becky G, and Susan Sarandon. So Blue Beetle, now as we know, the DC Cinematic Universe is going to be rebooted with James Gunn basically starting anew this messy saga, let's put it this way. The DCU, it hasn't really worked as well as Marvel's one in terms of interconnecting all the films. And for me, some of the films have been lesser in quality than others. For me, the trailer for this film did absolutely nothing, but I thought, well, it's the latest thing out, let's go and see it. Let's see what we can do, and if we'll have a fun time. An alien scarab chooses college graduate Jaime Reyes to be its symbiotic host, bestowing the teenager with a suit of armor that's capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero known as the Blue Beetle. So, Blue Beetle, this movie, I think it's getting a fairly lukewarm reception. I don't think it's getting hot reviews, but not too cold either. Somewhere in the middle, I think people are kind of thinking, it's alright. Okay, so we've had two other DC films this year. Shazam 2 was good, fine, nothing we haven't seen before. And The Flash, I personally did not like, despite a lot of people saying that they did like it. To each their own. Just not for me. This movie is not only the best DC movie of this year, it's actually, in my opinion, the best DC movie for quite some time. I was surprised how much I enjoyed this movie. Granted, is it perfect? No. There are a couple of flaws that I could point out. Like, I think Susan Sarandon's character is kind of wasted. She is pretty much a generic businesswoman who wants to exploit the world's technology for, you know, the greater good, as she puts it, to, change the world's protection through AI. And she does have a connection with the character of Jenny, who is her niece, but other than that, there's really not much to her character, and she doesn't really get a lot to do. She's barely in it, so there's hardly any screen presence from her, which is a real shame. And in terms of the story elements are fairly cliche, but there's nothing new that this offers. It doesn't reinvent the superhero genre at all, if you can call it a genre. It pretty much is what you would expect in terms of how he becomes the hero and how he has to deal, accustom his body to the new technology. For me, what makes this film so entertaining is the family plot. Yeah, never before have I been so moved by a DC movie. This movie is all about family, and the fact that Jaime's family are so heavily involved in the film really was a big surprise to me. I expected them to be kind of discount characters. They would just be kind of there but left in the background. No, they are very much a part of the action, and they very much get involved with all of the hijinks that are involved in this plot. And they're really fun characters. They are honestly some of the best characters I've seen in DC for ages, and I'm not even joking. They are awesome. They've got so much personality. Damián Alcázar, who plays the father, he's very good. George Lopez is in this movie as Rudy, who I'm guessing is Jaime's uncle. It's never really stated, but I think he is his uncle. Adriana Barraza as the grandmother. She's pretty good, and she actually has quite some funny moments, to say the least, and she gets involved heavily in the action. Belissa Escobedo plays Milagro Rees, who is Jaime's sister, and she's quite a fun character. She's not the annoying sort of psychic I thought she was going to be. I thought she was just going to be the annoying comic relief secondary character who does nothing, but actually she's pretty cool, and as time goes on you really start to care about her. That's what I realised halfway through. I really started to care about this family. I was really amazed at how much importance the film put on family. There's a real theme about family survival as well. Jaime and his family are struggling through poverty, and I think that's a very interesting story. We don't often see that in this type of film, and I think it's great that the film touched on this, and the fact that Jaime, he doesn't come from a rich background, he's been away studying and he's got his degree, and now he's come back to find out his family are poor and they're living in poverty and they're barely hanging on to their house. He wants to do everything he can to secure their futures and to secure well, basically have stability. That to me is the true measure of the bloke. That's what makes him a hero, not when he puts on the suit and becomes the Blue Beetle. That stuff is all generic. To me, if you're going to call this film a superhero film, do it on the basis that Jaime is a stand-up guy and he would want to change the lives of his family for the better. And he's a very selfless character, and I like that. As for Jenny, played by Bruna Marquezine, she's, well, for one thing, she's incredibly beautiful, and she proves to be a great character. I don't know if the actress is actually American, because her accent is very, very slippy. However, I liked the chemistry she had with Jaime, and they do make quite a good pair. You know, the romance, while it is forced, it's at least believable. There's at least a nice chemistry, and Jenny's got quite a lot of involvement in the story, especially as her father was very much the inventor of this technology, and her aunt, played by Susan Sarandon, wants to exploit that technology and really doesn't care about Jenny, which is a real shame. Jenny's actually pretty kick-ass. You know, she's not just a love interest. She does have quite a few good moments in the film, and there's quite an emotional moment where she talks about her parents and her childhood growing up, where they go back to her old house to find out a way to remove the scarab from Jaime. You can gradually, slowly see the two of them building that romantic connection, and on this occasion it does work, and I think that the slow build towards their kiss at the end is lovely, you know, and I really did buy the chemistry. So yeah, I've got to say I was pleasantly surprised with the writing of this film. The action scenes are good. I'd say they're very well done. Most of the time there's not a huge amount of action, which is alright, but when there is action, it's not necessarily that well choreographed. It's very kind of meat and potatoes, quite straightforward, because Jaime is trying to understand the technology. He's trying to get to grips with his new suit. But the ending finale is epic. So that's all I'll say about that. Also, Raoul Max Trujillo as Carapax. He's a good character. He ended up being a better character than I expected, because when we go into his backstory, we understand the loss he went through and how much the family element kind of connects to him as well, and his backstory was quite tragic. He's something of a cyborg, and Victoria Cord, played by Susan Sarandon, has tried to fix him up, and then has basically been exploiting him and using him as her weapon as such. But yeah, there's a great emotional payoff with his character, which is really unexpected. Like I said, Susan Sarandon, I mean, she performs the character well, but the character is very thin, very underwritten. You get her motivations, you get what she wants to do. She wants to, you know, change the world for the greater good, and she wants to be the one to be remembered for changing the world and ensuring that this new technology will benefit, you know, the world, and create this kind of, I guess, army of super robot soldiers or something. You know, it's all very AI, so it's that kind of vibe. So again, it really is surprising how emotive this movie is. It really is a film about a family struggling to survive through poverty, and that was what really surprised me about the story. The whole corporate business stuff, you know, and superhero stuff, that's all generic, and that you can bypass that. When the film hits you in the feels with that thread, that plot thread maintains consistent throughout the rest of the film. And even to Jenny, you know, to characters like Jenny as well. But this, the Reese family, they're delightful. They're delightful characters, and I almost really hope that we're going to see more of them. Although I don't know if we will, given the reboot. Yeah, this is a surprisingly great movie. I didn't expect it to be as fun as it was. Again, action-packed, visual effects are great. It's such a fun time as well, and it will have you laughing. There are some great comedic moments. I don't want to spoil it. But what I will say, I mean, the concept of the suit is kind of cool and stuff. It's very much, it's kind of like Tony Stark, you know, from Marvel. It's very, very techno, and there's a vocal interface embedded within the suit. Though the conception of the suit is a little different to that, in terms of the scarab embedding itself into one's body and, you know, being there for life. You know, that's very different. But the whole kind of vibe is similar. That is the only downside, so I can't say it's perfect. However, I was pleasantly surprised by this film, and I might even go and see it again, you know, because it's that fun. It really is. So, my final rating for Blue Beetle is a very surprising 9 out of 10. yeah, this was a really good film, and I would encourage anybody who is a fan of DC to go and see it, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. For me, it's definitely the best of the three this year that I've seen, undoubtedly. Forget The Flash, forget Shazam 2, this one is good. So anyway, thank you very much all for watching this review. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and please comment down below, let me know what you think of this film, and stay tuned for more reviews in the future. So until next time, I'm Pajak's Perspective. See ya. Bye for now.